Dear students, welcome to EPG Pathashala. I am Professor Korad Subramaniam from University of Hyderabad. Today, while dealing with the paper Vedic Epic and Puranic Culture of India, let us deal with a module on Vedic Thought 1. Actually, the Vedas are nothing but a mass of knowledge. There are 4 Purusharthas and 4 ashramas and 4 Varna Vyavastha, 4 Varnas that are discussed in Vedas. So, there Indian culture stands on 4 strong pillars called Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, and these are the objectives we are dealing with. Indian society has been divided into Varnas, that is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shodra. In Indian tradition, the life of a person consists of 4 different stages called Brahmacharyam, Garhasthyam, Vanaprastham and Samnyasam. So, this module will discuss Purusharthas, Varna system and ashramas. So, first Purusharthas. What is Purushartha? Purusha means person, a person. Artha means the very purpose. So, the very purpose of the living of a person. If a person is living, he should achieve something. What should he achieve? So, that is the very idea behind this name Purushartha. So, there are 4 Purusharthas that are described clearly in Vedas. This is called Arya Sanskriti. We are Aryas, not Aryans. The term Aryan is not good, that is not Sanskrit. Arya means those who follow the ascetic life that is prescribed and described in Vedas, Smritis, etc., starting with Satyam, Vada, Dharmanchara and Yoga Abhyasa, etc. So, there is no room for violence, etc., as far as the Arya Sanskriti is concerned. Now, in Arya Sanskriti, the 4 Purusharthas are enumerated. The first one is called Dharma. The second one is called Dharma is nothing but Dhriyate Aneneti Dharmaha. We will deal with Dharma. That means by which, performing by which the earth or the universe or the people are just like that. If you follow Adharma, you can no longer live a peaceful life. And next comes Artha. Artha, it will be vividly explained. Artha is nothing but matters that are related to money, wealth, etc. Kama is the married life and the related issues fall under Kama. Moksha is the roughly translated as salvation, but actually it is untranslatable because it is pregnant with meaning, it is loaded with meaning. Moksha means literally relief. Relief from what? Relief from the cycle of birth and death. Whoever is born is going to die, whoever is going to die will be born again. So, this kind of cycle goes on. If you want to arrest the cycle of birth and death and merge the Jivatma in Paramatma, that means if you do not want to have a birth again and get merged with Paramatma or Parabrahman or Brahman, whatever it is, then it is called Moksha. Yes, so here the Dharma, Artha, Kama are actually should lead to Moksha. Details we will discuss. Dharma that is associated with Artha or Artha associated with Dharma only is acceptable. Like that, Kama associated with Dharma only is acceptable. So, Dharma directly leads to Moksha in one way. In the other way, if you perform, if you take up, if you lead a life of Artha, where Artha is associated with Dharma and Kama is also associated with Dharma, that also would lead to Moksha. So, these 4 are called Purusharthas, which literally mean the purposes of a person or his life. Now, The first one is called dharma. The term dharma is translated as religion, but it is not good because religion in back translation will become matam. Matam means ishtam, means liked by a group of people. Anything that is liked by a group of people is called matam. Whereas dharma is totally different. Dharma is untranslatable, just like yoga, punyam, etc., etc. And dharma will be universal. Matam cannot be universal. What does it mean? Suppose somebody says, you satyam vada, Taittiriya Upanishad says satyam, speak the truth. So whether you are a Hindu or Muslim or Christian or a Nastika, atheist, anybody, whoever it may be, you should follow the truth. That means you should speak the truth. Similarly, ahimsa paramo dharmaha. Ahimsa is generally non-violence, but strictly speaking, according to Yoganushasana, if in the presence of a person, the creatures like, for example, say cat and rat, a tiger and a cow. So those animals or creatures which have got natural hostility, by birth they behave against each other. They have hostility against each other. Those creatures, if they do not express their hostility and lead a peaceful life in your presence, that is called ahimsa. The real meaning of ahimsa is that. Because non-violence can be a person who doesn't have very strength, etc., etc., or who is in old age and who is weak due to various reasons, may also follow non-violence, but that is not called ahimsa. When you are strong enough, still you maintain this kind of presence, then it is called ahimsa. So dharma is universal. Universal means it is applicable to the entire mankind, not simply to any particular group of people or so dharma should not be and cannot be religion because it is pregnant with meaning. So irrespective of caste, creed, religion, etc., etc., dharma is universal. And yes, then Sanatana Dharma. What is this? See, the dharma is Sanatana. Sanatana means nitya, eternal. That means immutable, that does not change. Sanatana means the dharma which does not change. Satyam vada, speak the truth, has been coming since time immemorial. We don't know. And it is eternal, it should not be changed, cannot be changed. Therefore, it is called, ours is Sanatana Dharma. You may call Arya Dharma, doesn't matter. And this consists of many tenets such as the above, which are discussed earlier, and protected through ages by the people of this country through uninterrupted tradition. That means the father and mother tell the children, you should do like this, you should not steal anything from others, you should speak the truth, you should not hurt others, it should not cause any kind of pain either through your body or mind or speech. Like that, people go on teaching and preaching to the younger generation. So uninterrupted tradition has been maintaining this Sanatana Dharma. So dharma has got direct connection with the trio, that is Artha, Kama and Moksha, we have discussed. Again, what is this Artha? Artha means all the transactions involving money or wealth. Sanatana Dharma prescribes that the Artha associated with Dharma only is acceptable. For example, Vagbhata in his medical work says, Kaha Aruk, who is without any disease, who is healthy? Hetabhuk, Metabhuk, Ratabhuk. The one who takes the food that is suitable to his body or the constitution, and Metabhuk, who takes the food that is sufficient, that is not going beyond certain limit, not crossing the limits, and the one who takes the food that is earned through truthful means. If you are taking bribes or if you are earning money through unfair means and taking that food, then don't expect to be healthy. So, health consists of three things: hitabhuk, the very food that is suitable to the body should be consumed; metabhuk, the food should be within the limits; and the third one is ratabhuk. Rata means satyam. That means the food is earned through truthful means. Therefore, the artha is the actually somebody also, it is also said, cleanliness of the body is not the real cleanliness. If you are clean in money matters, then you can claim to be clean. So, everybody, almost everybody is going to have cleanliness of his body. But do you have cleanliness in terms of artha, that is money matters? Then you can claim to be. But most of the problems and unrest in the society is caused by the things that are related to artha, that is money matters. Then kama. Kama refers to married life, and Sanatana Dharma prescribes that the kama associated with dharma only is acceptable. Here we have to discuss, there are so many things. For example, Krishna Yajurveda says ardhangi, wife is ardhangi. Ardha angi, anga is body, ardha is half. That means half of the body is ardha. Then during marriage, the priest asks to take up one pledge, that is dharmecha, arthecha, kamecha, nati charitavya. Then he has to, this is said by the priest, acharya or purohita. Then the bridegroom says, nati charami, I do not neglect, I do not, cross my limits in terms of artha and dharma, artha and kama. Because some people are priests are adding moksha also, that is not good, because moksha is individual. Whereas dharma, artha and kama are related to both husband and wife. So, after marriage, actually there are no two persons except physical this thing. So, whatever money is there, whatever wealth is there, both husband and wife have got the same level of right on both the things. You cannot say simply, I do not give money, I do not do this, do not do this. Both of them have to sit down and discuss and arrive at a conclusion and follow the same. You cannot simply ignore your wife. So, therefore, what happens, dampatyam or the conjugal relation is one that is spreading across wife and husband. So, the question of pocket money etc. does not arise. If you say there is pocket money, husband is giving money to wife, the husband owns the money, it means the purport is that husband owns money, but not the wife, and husband is giving to wife. This cannot be there, because both husband and wife, both of them are the owners of the money that is earned. Not only money, even other house etc., whatever things that are related to wealth, both husband and wife have got the same rights, and there the Veda does not accept any kind of discrimination. Therefore, they are called dampati. So, this is the very pratigna or the pledge that is made by the bridegroom during the marriage has got its consequences like this. So, kama refers to married life, and the Sanatana Dharma prescribes, that is dharma simply you cannot discuss, because dharma is universal. So, kama associated with dharma only is acceptable. Then moksha, this is the final but most important aspect of the purusharthas. Then moksha literally means relief. Relief from what? Birth and death, cycle of birth and death, and relief from the worldly bindings. Samnyasa it is called. We are going to discuss samnyasa in ashramas. So, actually one has to try for detachment rather than attachment with the world. Everything in the world is actually very temporary, tatkalika. You cannot go on enjoying things like that forever. No, there will be certain limit. According to the limit only everything goes. You may have a lot of so many desires, but don't think that they are going to be fulfilled, because the karma siddhanta, the law of karma is there, karma siddhanta. According to that only a person's life will run. In other words, it is just arresting the cycle of birth and death, moksha. Moksha means, or merging the Jivatma with Paramatma. We have already discussed that moksha has got different kinds of connotations, but the final one is that renouncing the world. World means worldly relations, things that are there. A person thinks this is my house, this is my bank account, this is my money, this is my vehicle, etc. But how longer will this continue? For some time it will continue. After that you will not be there. Then what next? You will die. What next? You will be born again. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityuhu dhruvanjanma mritasya cha. Bhagavad Gita. So it is certain, whoever is born is going to die. Whoever has died is going to born again. Therefore it goes on like that. And the comforts or the health, wealth, etc., all the things depend upon the Purajanma karma. So according to karma only, otherwise why all the people are not alike? Why all the people do not have the same kind of form, swarupam or beauty or whatever it may be, and health, wealth, etc.? No, never. So this is the law of karma that is today accepted by across the globe, by entire world. So according to karma siddhanta, this runs. Even in Jyotish Shastram, it is clearly stated, if you take up your horoscope, what the astrologer or the Jyotishika is going to look at is punyam vapyatha papa ropam api va karmarjitam pragbhave. During earlier births, incarnations, you have just got some karma. You have performed certain good deeds and performed some bad deeds also. Through good deeds you will get punyam, untranslatable again, there is no word in English for punyam, and certain bad deeds also you have committed and you are going to get this papam also. So some portion like that, the sanchita karma will be there, some portion of that punyam and portion of papam is going to be faced by you in this birth. That is called prarabdha karma. Prarabdha means which has started giving its result, that karma. So through dharma, one may directly, like Shankaracharya for example, one may directly achieve this moksha. That is also there. Then there is a serious problem in the society, because people, most of the people, although you preach them, teach them 100,000 times, they do not follow the word that is very important. For example, even Vedavyasa in Svargarohana Parva of Mahabharata was telling, Vardhavahur viraum yesha nahi kaschit shrunoti mam dharmadarthascha kamascha sadharmah kinna sevyate. What is the meaning? Vardhabahu, raising my hands, aham viraumi, I am speaking just at the top of my speech, I am shouting, but nobody, nahi kaschit shrunoti mam, but nobody listens to me, nobody cares for my caution, nobody cares for my preaching. Why? What is this? What are you preaching? Dharma adarthascha kamascha. Through dharma only you can have a better financial or wealthy position, and you can enjoy the married life also if you perform dharma only. So dharma is the very cause of your well-being, in generally saying. So good monetary, economical or financial status you want, perform dharma. There is no other thing that can cause. And if you want a happy married life, you should perform dharma. That is the very cause, nothing else. But such a dharma is not being taken up, performed by people. Sadharmaha kim na sevyate. Why such a dharma is not being performed? Why people do not follow the dharmika patha, dharma marga? Although I am shouting at the high of top of my speech, no, nobody cares. So, Vedavyasa even long ago in Mahabharata was telling that most of the people do not follow dharma. By nature it is so, but even if a single person or some people will get benefited by these preachings, we will be happy. So, you should not stop preaching that dharma is essential, is the very root cause of all the other three purusharthas called artha, kama and moksha. So, it is clearly stated that one should follow Trivarga, the trio of dharma, artha and kama, without mutual hostility. Anyonyam anapaspardham trivargam seveta. This is clearly stated in Shastras. Anyonyam, mutually, anapaspardham, without any clash. Trivargam, dharma, artha and kama, the trio, the group of, one should seveta. One should perform. That means, see that these dharma, artha and kama, moksha will not have any kind of mutual hostility. In such a way, you have to lead your life. This is clearly stated. Then, not only this, Kautilya in Arthashastra, Kautilya had authored a work called Arthashastra. Mostly it is polity, but it deals with other issues also. There he clearly says dharma is prescribed, dharma that is prescribed in 3 Vedas or 4 generally, that is useful for maintaining the dharma of the 4 varnas and the 4 ashramas. We are going to discuss this varnashrama dharmas. 4 varnas are there and 4 ashramas are there. So, the people that are divided into 4 varnas and the life of a person that is divided into 4 ashramas should follow the dharma that is preached in 3 Vedas. Esha trayi dharmaha Chaturnam varnanam ashramanancha swadharma sthapanatu aupacharikaha. So, because in his own dharma, when a person may have a teacher is there, he has got certain dharma, he has to go on time, teach his students and see that his students will achieve some knowledge and they will improve their knowledge and behave themselves, that is behave in a proper manner like that. Similarly, father is there, father is going to get the things for the children as well as wife of course is there like that. So, now varnas. What is this varna? This is generally called caste. The term caste has come from a Spanish word called casta. Casta means a group of people, but here it is totally different. Caste is not a good translation of varna. Varnashram dharmas are clearly mentioned. That varna is different, the so called caste is different. So, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shodra are called varnas. This varna system is has got its roots in Purusha Suktam, that is there in all the 5 Vedas. There it is said, Brahmanosya mukhamasetu bahurajanyah krutah urudasya yadvaishyah padbhyagam shodro ajayata. This is the things. So, if you take the Brahman, that is the Purusha, then from his face the Brahmana has come out, emerged, and from the Bahu, that is hands, a Rajanya has come out, Kshatriya, and the Vaishya has come out of the thighs of the Brahman. Then Padbhyagam Shodraha Ajayata, the Shodra has come out of the 2 feet of a Paramapurusha. So, here a clear picture is given. So, Paramatma, all the 4 are have emanated from Paramatma, and there cannot be any specific difference except the duties etc. that are explained in Smritis etc. So Smritis, Dharmashastras or Dharmashastra is code of conduct which tells this is the dharma, this is not the dharma, that is called Dharmashastra, and Smriti is just a synonym of Dharmashastra. They have prescribed different duties to different varnas in order to maintain harmony in the society. One has a Brahmana, for example, should not go for doing the as a king or something like that of the empire. He should suggest the ways of good maintenance, good harmony in the society to the king. The king Kshatriya has to, if required, go into war and protect the people from different problems. A Vaishya has to take care of the business, commerce, and the agriculture, etc., etc. And a Shudra has to take up the various issues that are connected with all these things. That is how the duties are prescribed in Smritis, Dharmashastras. Sri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, it is in, if you take Veda, Purusha Suktam clearly states these things. If you take Bhagavad Gita, there Sri Krishna says, Sri Krishna is nothing but Ishvara and Brahman. He is called Yogeshwara, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. So Krishna is nothing but Parabrahman only. It is our luck that in Mahabharatam he has come as Upadeshta or preacher of this Bhagavad Gita. There he says, Chaturvanyam maya srishtam gunakarma vibhagashaha, following certain gunas, the qualities, the properties, the virtues, and karma, the various duties of different people, differentiation due to the gunas and karmas. Chaturvanyam, the system of stratification as a fourfold Varna system in the society has been created by me, Sri Krishna clearly says. So Varna is not simply any group, but a group with specific duties prescribed by Shruti, that is Veda, and Smriti, Dharmashastram. Therefore, Varna is Varna, untranslatable but not caste. This is due to cultural difference. In, for example, Muslims community, they may have different castes. In three castes may be there in this Christianity. But in Indian society, since time immemorial, this has been running. So both cannot be and should not be compared. Though now ashramas. What is ashrama? See, a person has to live in four kind of stages throughout the life, right from the beginning. From the beginning, he will be a brahmachari. We are going to explain what does that mean. That is brahmacharyam, that is celibacy. And then after getting attaining the education that is required, and when one becomes an earning member, then he would go for marriage, then he would lead the garhastham and should produce children in order to repay the debt of fathers. Then third thing is, after the Dharmashastras say a very important thing, if you look children of your children, that means when you see the your what you call children of children, then you should no longer stay there. You better go to a forest and perform tapas, otherwise there will be so many problems. So when one looks at grandchildren, then he should leave the family and go to forest. That is suggested in Dharmashastras, otherwise there will be so many problems. Then finally, after Vanaprastham, in Vanaprastham, wife can be there, cannot be there. It depends upon the situation. So then finally it is samnyasam. Samnyasam is renouncing the world. One has to go for samnyasam in order to attain moksha. So the four ashramas, where are these ashramas clearly mentioned? In Shukla Yajus Samhita. Shukla Veda, Shukla Yajurveda clearly says these are the ashramas. Then Brahmacharyam. Brahma means Veda. The one who learns Veda is a Brahmachari. Generally the person who is not married is called Brahmachari. But the exact meaning, the original meaning of Brahmachari is that Brahmani Charatiti Brahmachari. Brahma means Veda, one who learns Veda is called Brahmachari. After completion of education, the Snataka Vratam, just like now people called in universities convocation, is performed, and now the boy is ready to marry after Snataka Vratam. So that is called brahmacharya. Next comes garhastyam. Gruhastha, gruhe tishtati iti gruhastha. One who lives in a family. Family means here gruha means not simply gruham, that is house, but wife. So along with wife he lives. After marriage, vivaha, the boy becomes gruhastha. A gruhastha has to offer food to brahmacharis and sanyasins. That is one duty. Another duty is he has to perform yajnas and yagas, and another duty is he has to receive guests. He has to offer atithyam, hospitality. And another duty is raising children, providing them food, education, health, etc., etc. And another duty is maintaining the livestock, agriculture. So a gruhastha is the central point. So the brahmachari as well as the vanaprastha as well as the sannyasi, all the three will depend upon a gruhastha. So gruhasthashrama is very crucial and very important, and other people depend upon that. So the term gruhastha means wife and husband as per Vedic culture. Gruhastha. There cannot be two persons after marriage because Veda uses the term ardhangi. Where is this? This is actually ardhova esha atmano yatpatni is quoted in Brihadanyaka Upanishad, but clearly stated in Krishna Yajurveda. So eshaha patni iti yatu, what you are calling patni is nothing but atmanaha ardhaha, that is the half of your body. Patni is not different from you, she is half of your body. That means you cannot escape. You should not think that you are yourself. After marriage, there are no two persons, but except physically, there is only one person called Dampati, Jampati, Jayapati, etc. And this is said in Veda itself. Next comes further. This the relation between Pati and Patni, or wife and husband, etc., are discussed at length in Purvamimamsa, Dharmashastram, Vyakaranam, etc., etc. Let us look at one by one. Jaimini in Purvamimamsa said that the rites are to be performed together by Pati and Patni, husband and wife, as both have equal importance. What he calls Dampatyoho Sahadhikarat. Dampatyoho, for wife and husband, Sahadhikaraha, the authority of togetherness. They have the other, together only they are supposed to perform any rite. Svavatostu vachanat aikakarmyam syat. So here he clearly says that wife, along with wife only, a husband has to sit down and perform the rite, and vice versa. Then Panini in Vyakaranam is the greatest grammarian. Panini, while analyzing the term Patni, he said, how will you get the word Patni? Pati plus none. Pratyurno yajna sanyoge, that is the Panini Sutram. Yajna sanyoge, when there are yajnas means not only the Darsha Purnamasa, big yajnas, but every day one has to perform Pancha Mahayajnas. So while performing those Pancha Mahayajnas, a Gruhastha has to perform Pancha Mahayajnas, there she will be there. That means he will partake. She will be a part and parcel of that Pancha Mahayajna. In that sense, if you want to express that sense, then you can use the word Patni. So Pati plus due to Yajna Sanyoga, Na is added, it became Patni. That is how Panini explains. That means strictly within the framework of Vedic literature. Then Apastamba is a great Dharmashastrakara and Kalpasutrakara. In Dharmasutram, he rules Panigrahanam. Panigrahanam means holding the hand. Only in marriage, the boy will hold the hand of a girl, not before that. So Panigrahanam it is called. There, the Patni shall partake in all rites and also in results of Punya Karma. See, very serious issue. What is the problem? Husband is performing some Punya Karmas. When karmas that will get you Punyam, that means a good result. Then will she get the result of Punya Karma? Yes. But then suppose the husband performs some papa karma, what about that? No, the patni does not receive any part of result of a papa karma that is committed by her husband. So that's where he is stressing. So patni shall partake in the rites, in all the rites together they have to do. And if the husband performs some punya karma, wife will get the result, a part of the result of the punyam, but not papam. No, out of question. So that is clearly stated. In the results of punya karma, punyam is opposite of papam. For punyam you don't have an English word, opposite of papam or sin. It has no equivalent in English. Patni shall not partake in the results of papa karma, sinister activity. That should be noted down. Then further, during parigrahanam, we have, this is very clear. Outside, whenever you go to any marriage that is traditionally be performed, there during parigrahanam, the pati is asked to take an oath. Dharmecha arthecha kamecha nati charami. Dharmecha arthecha kamecha esha nati charitavya. The priest says, you should not neglect, you should not ignore your wife in terms of dharma, artha and kama. Then the has to say the pledge, the bridegroom has to pledge, dharmecha arthecha kamecha nati charami. This is what is generally called nati charami iti pratignya, that one. So I shall not cross the limits. Atichara means going beyond his limits, that is called atichara. Nati charami, I shall not cross my limits in terms of these three things. So the Vedic tradition clearly mandates that after panigrahanam, the pati and patni will become dampati. A single word is used for both combinedly, and they together have to perform all karmas, and also they have equal rights in terms of dharmartha and kama, whereas moksha is individual. That should not be coupled with these things. Now, vanaprastha. Vana means forest, prastha means to reside, to stay. So, staying in a forest, that is called vanaprastha. This is also an ashrama, a stage of life. Literally, it means living in a forest. So, after the sons and daughters settle in life, one should concentrate on jnanam, and with or without patni should proceed to a forest and recite Aranyakam, that is a portion of Veda there. So, Bhrigu, the author of Manusmriti, prescribes the rules and regulations of a vanaprastha in the 6th adhyaya of Manusmriti. Grahasthastu yada pashyet vali palitamatmanaha apatyasya chapatyam tadaranyan samashrayet santyajya gramyamaharam sarvam chaiva parichhadam putreshu bharyan nikshipya vanangachet sahaiva va. So, having seen the wrinkles, vali, palitam, and the white hair, etc., on his own body, as well as the children of children, that is grandchildren, when after noticing these things, then one should go to a forest. And he has to give up the food that is there in a village, whatever he has been eating, and also parichhatam, whatever, whether any vehicles, etc., etc., whatever are there, they should be given up. He should not take anything of such kind. And he has to entrust the responsibility of his wife to their sons. Sons are directly responsible for the well-being of their mother, and the husband has to leave the wife in the protection of the sons, or he may take her along to the forest. He may go along with wife or may go alone. So, this is called vanaprastha. Then sannyasa. Sannyasa is an ashrama by which one would attain jnanam and consequently moksha. Jnana devato kaivalyam. If you want to get moksha, you should go for jnanam. So, relief from the worldly or mundane bindings. Merging jivatma with paramatma in order to arrest the cycle of birth and death is also called moksha. Bhrigu Maharshi in Manusmriti clearly says that there are three kinds of debts as soon as one is born. So, all the debts are to be cleared by performing tapas and yajnas, reciting Vedas and producing children. All the ranas or debts are to be repaid, and then should fix his mind in moksha. No more worldly things, mundane things. If he did not clear the debts but tries for moksha, then he will go to naraka or hell. So, ranani trini apakritya, having paid back all the three kinds of debts, mano mokshe niveshayet, he should concentrate his mind in moksha. Anapakritya mokshantu, having not paid the debts, paid back the debts, sevamanaha vrajati adhaha. If he goes for moksha, then he is going to down and down, that is nothing but naraka or hell. So, one should first clear the debts, three debts that are clearly mentioned in Krishna Yajurveda, and then should concentrate in moksha. Without paying back the debts, one will go to naraka or hell if he tries to get moksha. Then sannyasa. Defines sannyasa, Bhagavad Gita defines sannyasa as a situation in which the kamya karmani, the right with some desire, are given up, but not nitya naimitika karmani as performed. Kamyanam karmananyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu. So, here what happens is karmas are of three kinds. One, nitya karmas, sandhya vandanam, agnihotram, etc. The second things are naimittika karmas, nimitta, due to some cause. You have built a house, so you will go for housewarming or graha pravesha. Somebody has died, you will perform the ceremony. So, these such karmas are called naimittika karmas. Kamya karmas are those performing yajna or yaga for swarga, or marriage, vivaha for children. These are things with a kama, with a desire. If somebody is performing something, it is Satyanarayana Vratam, for example. All these kinds of things are called kamya karmas. So, for a sannyasi, he cannot give up nitya karmas and naimittika karmas, but he has to give up the kamya karmas. So, kamyanam karmananyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu, this is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 18th Adhyaya. So, now the general dharmas. What are the general dharmas one has to follow? So, Vedam, Taittiriya Upanishad clearly states certain dharmas and it says Vedamanuchyacharya antevasena manushasti satyam vada dharmanjara devapitrukaryabhyan pramaditavyam matrudevo bhava pitrudevo bhava acharya devo bhava esha adesha esha upadesha esha vedopanishatu etadanuशासनम evamupasitavyam evamuchaitadupasyam. So, here the Acharya, after teaching Veda, ordains his disciple. You have to follow certain rules and regulations. What are they? Satyam vada, you should speak the truth. You should not speak the untruth, that is abadham. What you call satyam or asatyam, you should not speak. Then dharmanchara, what is dharma? Dharma is prescribed in Vedas, in Smritis, in Puranas, in itihasas like Bharatam and Ramayana, and dharma is clearly stated by your mother, father and acharya. Those dharmas you should follow. Next, devapitrukaryabhyana pramaditavyam. You should be alert, you should not forget the whatever rites have to be performed with regard to the gods, the avatars, that is puja, sandhyavandanam, etc. and pitrukaryani. Pita here also includes mata. So, father and mother, certain things you have to perform to your father and mother, those things you should not forget. Okay, then matrudevo bhava, treat your mother as God. Pitrudevo bhava, treat your father as God. Acharya devo bhava, treat your acharya as God. Esha adesha, this is an order. Esha upadesha, this is a preaching. Esha Vedopanishatu. This is called an Upanishad of Veda. Etadanuशासनम. This is a kind of rule. Evam upasitavyam. You should follow this. Evam upachitatupasyam. You should have to certainly follow these things. So this is what is taught. These are general dharmas. Then another Smriti teaches how to raise the children. There will be problem in raising the children because it is a difficult task. Then he says, Lalayet panchavarshani dashavarshani tadayet shodashe varshe prapte putram mitravadacharet. You should not punish your child, boy or girl, up to 5 years of age. Although they commit some mistake, although they create some nuisance, you should not be angry. You should have maximum patience up to 5 years of age. Dashavarshani tadayet. After that, for 10 years, you may slightly beat them if they commit anything wrong. Then, shodashe varshe prapte. When the child attains the age of 16, then putram mitravadacharet. You have to treat your son on a par with your friend. Give some suggestions. Just tell him, please do this, do that, like that. That don't try to beat him. Careful. And Bhrigu in Manusmriti ordains that a girl should not be left without protection. See, mostly outside people quote a saying, Nastri Swatantriyam Arhati. That means ladies, a girl child should not be given independence. That is how they translate. But that is not the meaning of the very sentence. What is that? This sentence is part of a verse. Pita rakshati kaumare bharta rakshati yuvvane rakshanti sthavire vayasi putra rakshanti sthavire putraha nastri swatantriyam arhati. In 9th Adhyaya, Bhrigu clearly says, protection should be provided throughout the life to a girl child. During early ages up to 15 years of age or so, it is the responsibility of the father to provide protection. He is directly responsible for the protection of a girl child. Bhakta rakshati yuvvane. During youth, it is the responsibility of the husband to provide protection. Care should be taken by all means. Next, rakshanti sthavire putraha. During old age, it is the responsibility of the sons to offer protection, all kinds of protection to their mother. Therefore, Stri Swatantriyam na arhati, na Stri Swatantriyam arhati. You should not leave her to mend her ways. If it is during early age, it is the father. During youth, it is the husband. And during the old age, it is the sons who are directly responsible for the protection of a girl or female. That is clearly mentioned in Manusmriti. That is the way. And another verse also in 3rd Adhyaya, Bhrigu Maharshi says in Manusmriti, Yatra naryastu pujyante ramante tatra devataha yatra itastu na pujyante sarvas tatra phalah kriyaha. Yatra naryastu pujyante. In which house the ladies are being worshipped, there ramante tatra devataha. All the gods, goddesses would feel happy there, and they will come and they will enjoy. Yatra itastu na pujyante. In which house the ladies are not being worshipped or not venerated, not respected properly, there aphalaha sarvaha kriyaha. There all the karmas, all the rites, all the pilgrimages, etc., etc., whatever karma you do, they have no result at all. Aphalaha nasti phalam. So there is no result. Therefore, the ladies should be worshipped and respected in the house. Bhrigu clearly says in Manusmriti. So, if the ladies are crying, the clan would perish quickly, and if they are not crying, the clan would always flourish, declares Bhrigu in Manusmriti. Again, if they are weeping, shochanti jamayo yatra vinasyatyashu tat kulam nashochanti tu yatra itaha vardhate tadhi sarvada vardhate tadhi sarvada. So, Jamayaha, these ladies where they are shochanti, crying, they are weeping, that means people are simply creating problems for them. Then Ashu quickly, tat kulam, that entire clan is Venashyati, going to perish. So, yatra, in which house etaha nashochanti, these ladies are not weeping, are not crying, are not feeling any pain. Vardhate tadhi sarvada, that kulam, that clan is always would be prosperous. That is clear. So, and also the wife, what kind of duties the wife should be given. Arthasya sangrahe chainam yaye chaivani yojayet shauche dhanmenna paktyancha parina hyasya vekshane. See, arthasya sangrahe cha enam, this wife should be employed, should be put on duty of earning money. And also vyayecha, in expenditure, she should spend, you have to give her the responsibility of spending the money. That means earning and spending should be the duties of a wife. One has to see shauche dharme, shauche, cleanliness of the surroundings, and also dharmae, in performing dharmika karyas, rites which are prescribed in Vedas and Shastras, and annapaktiyancha, and cooking also she has to be employed, and also parinahi, overall upkeep of the house should be entrusted to the wife. So, suppose the girl is not married by her father for a long time, then what should be? Trini varshan yudiksheta kumar yirutumati sati urdhvantu kalade tasmat vindeta sadrisham pratim. If the girl is, the daughter is not married by her father, for she has to wait for 3 years. After 3 years, she should go to select her husband. There is no adharma. That is clearly mentioned in Manusmriti by Bhrigu. She has to wait for just 3 years after puberty. Later on, she can mend her ways and she may go for a suitable husband on her own without discussing with the father. So, finally, what we have to make out is simply the Vedas have clearly mentioned there are 4 Purusharthas, Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha, and there are 4 Varnas that are the actual which are there in the Indian society since time immemorial, and also 4 ashramas are stages through which one has to travel. So, if you want to save the Indian culture or protect the Indian culture, then we have to follow the Vedic path, and there is no any other go. This is the very essence of Indian culture. Thank you very much for listening, and now if you want more details, please visit EPG Pathashala website. Thank you very much. Shubham Bhuyat.